Hello, my name is Bruce Hollinger, and I'm with WiSys. Today I'd like to talk about our Outlook add-in, which is part of our Agility Business Intelligence tool that interacts with email. So when I click on an individual's email ID, the information over here can be updated to reflect that individual. And it does that by identifying that as a contact in the customer itself. So I've talked about that in other videos, and that's what my intent on this video is talk about how we made it, how we were able to make something like this, and how you can make your own tools. Let me go over to the Agility Designer. When I come over here, I have different projects, and one of them is Outlook Views. In Outlook Views, I've already created a series of views that are part of this Outlook dashboard over here. And, I have the ability to create lots of different components. I can do things like grids or graphs or pivot tables. I also have a little thing here called Outlook Add-in. And I've created one of those, and you can see here's the different kinds of types over here. An Outlook Add-in is a very simple component. What I've done is I have a collection of views. These are all the views that you see over here. We have an aging chart, we have a customer card, an order history, or a list of orders, some synergy tasks. All these things are represented over here in this collection. Now, the only thing that's unique about these is they have to take one filter field. The filter field either has to be the username, who is the user of the machine, so we can identify, say, synergy tasks related to that individual, or they have to be a customer, because we're going to identify the customer, and then we're going to pass that customer number through to the view, which I'll show you in a second. Let's look at the customer order history. Let's focus on that one. Customer order history is a very simple view. I just go into customer order history. I just did a select from the order history table, and you see I passed it an argument of a customer number, which I've set up as a filter. It was pretty much that simple. We also have a set of buttons so that we've linked that, and one of the things I've linked it to is a pivot table. So let's look at the pivot table. There's one pivot table in here. And in the pivot table, again, we have a fairly simple query. We have the line hist, the header hist. We've selected certain particular fields to have in a pivot table. When you do a pivot table, you don't want to have an excessive number of fields. Some of these are calculated. And then what we've done is we've linked the invoice date to a time dim table. This is a time dim table that we distribute with a product, and it lets us slice and dice data by month or a week or a year or a quarter. I mean, it does that for you automatically just by linking it to a date field. So that's very simple to do. So when you start bringing all this together, we had to build that one tab in Outlook to do all that. And we started with the customer order history. Now what's nice over here in the designer is I can not only build my work, but I can preview my work, I can edit my work. This took the argument of the customer. I can move fields around in here. I can decide that on a column chooser that I don't think that field's really necessary, and I can take it out of the list. I can rename fields to something else. So I have all that design control in here. And now I've also created those button links, and I want to see if they work. And here's the pivot table link. I'm executing it in here. I know it works. Before I showed you how that could be done in another video. So let me shut all this down. And let's go over here one more time. This is the same view. Obviously it's in a little smaller space, but we have the pivot table. And as we saw before in other videos, I can change things around and change the data. It's a pivot table with all the capability of a standard pivot. So that's how we, the next thing I need to do is show you how did I get that over here. So let me come over here into the design capability of the product. All I have to do when I set up Agility in Outlook is give it a server and database, and we take care of all the security. And then I just select from my dashboard list. And I had a project, and these others are coming from other projects, but this was my design project. And we had one Outlook dashboard. It was called Customer Service. So we just come over here to Outlook, make that selection, and save it. Now once this comes in, I'm going to bring all these views into Outlook, and then I have to figure out how I'm going to manage those into tabbed areas and organize it so it makes sense and fits within this amount of real estate. We have a design button here, and then the design button I can change things like how much space is allocated to each chart. I can do things like come in and add a tab. And by doing that, I reorganized all these views into tabs and areas on the screen. And that's all it took.